Hashem, we're starting a new work. We're going to try and study this regularly, like around 15 minutes a day. It's called The Concise Code of Jewish Law and a Guide to the Observance of Shabbos or Shabbat. It was first written by Rabbi Gershon Appel, and this is the revised edition edited by Rabbi Daniel Goldstein. Now, let me first start by saying that the books were donated by the Appel family, and we're very, very grateful. I'm a big fan of the Appel family, and this work has an introduction about the life and work of Rabbi Dr. Gershon Appel. And then there's the editor's introduction by Rabbi Daniel Goldstein. Rabbi Daniel Goldstein was somebody who I once shared a house with. Meaning to say, when we first got married, we had the downstairs and he had the upstairs. So we became good friends then. And I haven't seen him for many years, but now it's like I'm reunited with him. I'm studying his work, which is really just the updating of the first edition of Rabbi Appel, which was written in 1989. So, of course, we have to update it. A lot of contemporary questions arise. So we'll skip the introduction into the work of Rabbi Dr. Gershon Appel. We'll pick that up another time. First, I would like to just read the dedication. The dedication by the Appel family is this series is dedicated to the memory of our dear father, Rabbi Dr. Gershon Appel, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, and in memory of our dear mother, his Eshet Chayil of 66 years, Miriam Appel, Olav Shalom, and her name was Miriam Bas Reb Shlomo HaKohen, Olav Shalom. And let me just read what they say about Rabbi Dr. Gershon Appel, a beloved community Rav, erudite professor of Jewish studies and Jewish philosophy, prolific author who taught and influenced young and old throughout the Jewish community. I saw the original edition, the 1989 edition, and I remember being very attracted to it because it was able to transmit. He was able to transmit very sophisticated topics in a very serious but yet also accessible way. So, in this context, let's begin with chapter 1, which is the holiness of Shabbat. So, Rabbi Appel writes, and we have here in the yeshiva, we have around 12 copies of this work. So that's our privilege to study with. So Shabbat is the foundation of our faith. It's both a sign so that we may know and a covenant to reaffirm that in 6 days Hashem created heaven and earth and all that's in our world. So this is basically Shabbos is the foundation of our faith. And in Hebrew, it's Godel Kedushas HaShabbos. Great is the holiness of Shabbos. Yerushalmi in the Durham states that Shabbos is equal to all the other commandments. When you observe Shabbos properly, it's as though you have fulfilled the whole Torah. So this idea is expressed in the book of Nehemiah as it's written, you came down upon Mount Sinai and gave them the right ordinances and laws of truth, good statutes and commandment, and you made known to them your holy Shabbat. Page 3 of this book, Nehorai, talking about the importance of the mitzvah of Shabbos. So the mitzvah of Shabbos is equal to all the other commandments. Here, sit right next to me, Nehorai. So we're not going to read every single sentence that Rabbi Appel writes because we all have the book and we can read it at our own leisure. I'm just pulling out some of the highlights. The Yeshayahu Navi praises the person who observes Shabbos, saying, we're on page 4, Nehorai. Fortunate is the man who will do this, and the person who will hold fast to it. He who keeps Shabbat from profaning it and guards his hand from doing evil. If you observe Shabbos properly, honoring it and delighting in it according to your ability, you are assured by the profit of your reward in this world and in the world to come. This is just basically an introduction into the importance of Shabbos. I don't want to go too deeply into that because I think everybody here understands just how important Shabbos is. But obviously, Rabbi Appel, you can't just write a book about the laws of Shabbos without framing it by telling us how important it is. So now we want to talk about chapter 2, which there's a lot to talk about, which is preparing for Shabbos. Okay, so this is page 9. Norai, would you read for us a little bit from it? Norai is going to read for us.
The fourth of the 10 commandments.
Can you hear that, Deborah? Can you hear it? Norai? Okay, hold on. Let me take out my AirPods because I don't know that everybody can hear my AirPods. No, they can hear once I take it. It's just hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Okay, now, Norai, read nice and loud so everybody can hear you.
The fourth of the 10 commandments state, remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy, which means, among other things, remember to sanctify Shabbat every day of the week. In this regard, the Gemara relates that Shammai
was one of the great scholars of the Talmud. So the Gemara tells us that Shammai,
if he chanced during the week upon some food which he considered a delicacy, would buy it in honor of Shabbat. We too should find similar ways of sanctifying Shabbat even during the week.
Okay, so what Rabbi Appel is pointing out is that the Gemara tells us that we have to celebrate Shabbat even before Shabbat. If we see something special during the week, we prepare we get it for Shabbat. That's actually the position of Shammai, which is, or Shammai, that if you see a nice piece of meat, Shammai says save it for Shabbos. Hillel says you can eat it because for sure Hashem will provide you with another one before Shabbos. So this is the importance of celebrating Shabbos. It doesn't just show up on Shabbos day. It comes even before Shabbos. Okay, go on.
You should arise early on Erev Shabbat in order to obtain what is needed for Shabbat. You may shop even before tefillah on Friday morning, provided that it does not prevent you from praying with a minyan. Okay, let's look at the footnote here. The footnotes here add in that although generally speaking, you're not supposed to do your personal needs before you daven. Davening is supposed to be the first thing you do in the morning, but we're allowed to shop because you have to prepare for Shabbos. That's also a mitzvah. So this is one of the rare exceptions in our faith where something overrides the Shabbos, overrides the minyan, comes in before minyan. Okay, go on. It is preferable to buy the necessities in honor of Shabbat on Friday, but whatever requires preparation, you should buy on Thursday.
So basically, the best here, take these books, Mordechai Aviva. We're going to try and study every day, God willing, 15 minutes from this beautiful, beautiful book about the laws of Shabbos. I don't know if we'll do it every day. We're going to try to do it every day. Bli neder. So, best time to buy food for Shabbos. What day should you buy the food for Shabbos? Friday, because it's the freshest. In those days, but if you need to prepare it, you're not going to have time. So obviously buy it Thursday. These are halachos. When are we supposed to go shopping for Shabbos? Go on.
When buying something for Shabbat, you should say Lichvod Shabbat.
Ah, what a beautiful halacha. When you buy something for Shabbat, don't just buy the what do you buy for Shabbat usually, no, right? Meat. You say, I'm buying brisket. You say, I'm buying a brisket. Lichvod Shabbat. In the honor of Shabbat. That way you're doing a mitzvah and you're concretizing the mitzvah by saying those two words.
One of the practices instituted by Ezra is to wash and launder your clothes on
page 10.
One of the practices instituted by Ezra is to wash and launder your clothes on Thursday so that they will be ready to wear in honor of Shabbat. This activity should not be left for Friday, as you must then attend to the more immediate needs in preparation for Shabbat. Okay, so this is the idea that you shouldn't do too much intensive labor on Friday to prepare for Shabbos. It used to be, nowadays, laundry is no big deal. Yeah.
But it used to be one of the most difficult activities. You need there's a hat there. Oh, there's a kippah right there in the corner. It says Florida Gators. Yeah, I picked that up in when I visited University of Florida. Yeah, but we're studying this beautiful book here, page 10. This was a book
that was written by a great rabbi, Rabbi Appel, and his family updated it with a beautiful addition. So it means you're not supposed to work too hard on Friday afternoons, on Fridays doing intensive labor because you have to do the immediate needs. Okay, go on.
Even if you employ people who can prepare everything for Shabbat, it is still a mitzvah to take part in some way in the Shabbat preparation, thereby honoring it in person.
So even if you're a great rabbi or a very, very wealthy person who doesn't usually do physical labor, it's still your responsibility to do at least something for Shabbos. My Rabbi at Yeshiva University, Rabbi Yosef Weiss, said Rabbi Akiva Eger used to dust off the light bulbs for Shabbos. Well, he gives examples here from the Talmud. Let's read these examples, Nehorai.
That's
Page 10.
Done, page 10, we're on it says 2.
The footnote 2, yeah.
Footnote 2. This was done by the great rabbis of the Talmud. As recorded in Shabbat 119a, for example, Rav Chesda used to cut up the vegetables. Rabbi and Rav Yosef would chop wood. Rav Zira would kindle the fire. Rav Nachman would put the house in order, bring in the utensils needed for Shabbat, and clear away those used during the week.
These are the Hall of Fame of rabbis of the Talmud. Rav Chisda, he used to make the salad or the soup. He would cut up the vegetables. Rabbi and Rav Yosef, they would chop the wood. It wasn't beneath them. Rav Zera would make the fire. Rav Nachman Rav Nachman would bring in the utensils. Now Rav Nachman was he was the Av Betin. He was the head of the court, and he was the son-in-law of the Reish Galusa. So he was a prince. And they took it upon themselves personally. So he could certainly afford to hire other people. So this shows it's a specific mitzvah upon ourselves to do these holy activities. Go on.
You should follow their example and not regard it as beneath your dignity to do these things. For it is your own honor to honor Shabbat.
Okay, go on. This is another one. It's a beautiful halacha coming up.
It is a prevailing custom among Jews to bake challah in honor of Shabbat. Those who eat bread baked by a non-Jewish baker on weekdays should be careful to eat Jewish baked bread on Shabbat.
So meaning to say during the week, you don't have to eat bread baked by a Jew. You just have to make sure it has kosher ingredients. But for Shabbos, you should eat bread specifically baked by a Jew.
What if you go to like a Jewish bakery, but it's non-Jews making?
So no, even if you go to a Jewish bakery, if it's under a kosher, it's an excellent question, no, right? If it's under kosher supervision, like the ones here in town, like the pastry oven or Goldberg's, or I don't know what else, there are Shalom's. So even though they have regular human beings, not of Jewish faith, working, the Jews like to fire. They are participating in some sort in the baking process, so it's considered bread baked by a Jew. So for Shabbos, you're allowed to do that. But it's an interesting footnote here because this that says the challah are to be baked on Erev Shabbat. So there's an interesting footnote here related to the Daf Yomi, because today's Daf Yomi is going to be talking about the lechem hapanim, which was the 12 loaves of bread that were eaten by the Kohanim every single Shabbat. And when were they baked? They were baked the Friday before, not the day before, but 9 days before. So this is what he writes here. The Shabbat, he has a footnote here. The Shabbat chalot should be baked on Erev Shabbat, that is on Friday, or when the days are short on Thursday night, if necessary. This idea is based on the procedure following regarding the lechem hapanim, which was prepared on Erev Shabbat and placed on the shulchan in the Beit HaMikdash on Shabbat. Yeah, so they baked it on Friday in the temple. So therefore, ideally, we should bake our chalot on Friday and then put it on our tables on Shabbat. That's a beautiful minhag to incorporate. And then he has another footnote: the chalot to be entrusted to be baked by a Jew. The Shulchan Aruch cites both. Anyway, it gets into whether or not, if you have no choice, he says here, if need be, however, bread baked by a non-Jew may be used for the Shabbat meal. So, like, basically, if you have no choice, let's say you're traveling, yeah.
Good to see you.
Great to see you. Great to see you, my friends. I haven't seen you. How was your Pesach?
Amazing.
Okay, good. Amazing. We're on page 10.
Better than mine.
What?
It's probably better than mine.
You know what the Lubavitcher Rebbe taught us? You are where you're supposed to be. So We never should look at somebody, and I'm not, God forbid, I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying we should never look at somebody else and say, you're probably having more fun. I mean, you never know. You never know what's going on in somebody else's life. And also, the other thing is, I believe a happy person is always going to be happy. A miserable person will always find ways to be miserable. So we should all be the happy people, right? Why not?
Yeah. Pure Kavod says a rich man is a man who's happy with his lot.
Ezu Ashir Mesamech B'Chalko.
I must have thrown out of my law firm now.
Oh yeah. Good.
Every year they buy cars and they have committee to go around and talk to partners. What did you do? Sir, did you get more? Should you get less? And I told the guy who was the representative of my committee, who's Jewish, I said, there's a perking of votes. I said, you should be happy with your share, with your lot. So I really am not interested in more or less. It just doesn't interest me. I'm satisfied with whatever it is.
That's not what they're looking for in the law firms.
Pardon?
That's not what they're going for.
That was a very large law from Washington. That was so heretical, blasphemous. It's the same thing that happened last night. We asked with Trump that he's still in a state of shock to this day. He's younger than I am. But we never heard anybody saying that they're satisfied with their lot.
Beautiful.
So,
but you know what? The Talmud has another example of who is wealthy, one who is it says who is wealthy, and it doesn't say one who is satisfied with their lot. You know what they say? Ezu Ashir. It says whoever has a toilet near their house. In those days, that meant you were rich. So it's relative. You see, it's not objective, it's subjective. If you just have a little bit more than the person next to you, you're rich. That's like okay, let's just finish this paragraph. Then we'll move to the Rashi. We'll finish this paragraph. Okay.
All right.
Even if you only go on.
And even if you eat only bread baked by a Jewish baker on weekdays, as well, you should try to have bread baked in the home in honor of Shabbat, so that the women of the house may perform the mitzvah of taking challah from the dough and baking.
Okay, this is the mitzvah of challah. So what's the mitzvah of challah? Not to be confused with an actual challah that we challah loaves. The footnote explains it. He's so brilliant, this rabbi, but he's able to teach it in such an accessible manner. One of the mitzvot entrusted to women is the mitzvah of taking challah, a certain percentage of the dough in baking. Jewish women have traditionally considered this a great privilege, and many are accustomed to bake challah for Shabbat in order to be able to perform the mitzvah of taking challah. However, challah is not separated unless more than about 2¼ pounds of dough is produced. If more than about 5 pounds of dough is produced, challah is separated with a bracha. So that means if you take more than 2¼ pounds, you have to take a little bit and put it in the oven, just that little part you burn. But if you bake 5 pounds, then you say the bracha. And the mitzvah of challah is a very holy mitzvah. A lot of women are now doing it more and more. It's believed to be a big segula. One of the hostages was released miraculously. Right, her grandmother had never done this mitzvah. She did the mitzvah, and the next morning, miraculously, I remember that one of the hostages was released. But then he has a very interesting custom, which I'm going to share with my wife. I don't know if she knows this custom, that she can do this. Okay, go on.
Some have the custom to bake 3 loaves, a large one, a medium-sized one, and a small one.
Did anybody ever hear that custom? You have a custom to bake 3 loaves, large, medium, and small.
The medium-sized loaf is for the evening meal. The large one is for the daytime meal.
Why? Why do you do the medium size for evening and the large for daytime?
Healthy.
No, it's to show that Shabbat day is given precedence when it comes to honoring Shabbat.
And the small loaf is for the third meal.
The small loaf is for the third meal. What? It's for the third meal. Okay. Okay, we're just the beginning. We have here only another maybe 500 pages to go, 400 pages, but we'll get there because it's so much fun reading this book. It's a beautiful book. We'll stop here and we'll transition to our regular study at this time.